It begins like a tremor beneath your chest, quiet at first, almost ignorable, until it roars. Every thought, every heartbeat, every breath seems too sharp, too fast, too loud. Weeks, months, maybe years of tension, anxiety, and silent struggle finally converge, and suddenly you are unmoored. Everything you thought was steady, every certainty you clung to, fractures. And then you are falling. This fall is loud. It rattles you, shakes your mind, pulls the ground from beneath your feet. The chest tightens. Your thoughts spin in relentless loops, searching for reason, for explanation, for someone or something to blame. You reach outward instinctively because it is easier to accuse the world than to face the storm that lives inside you. Perhaps a friend said the wrong thing. Perhaps circumstances shifted, and it feels as if life betrayed you. The mind clings outward because the internal chaos is too unbearable to meet directly. Grief rises in waves, relentless and unapologetic. It presses into your chest, dragging sorrow, fear, and exhaustion into the open. Sometimes tears come, sometimes they do not. The ache, however, is undeniable. You may tell yourself you have surrendered, that collapse is complete. In some ways, that is true. You are unsteady, raw, exposed. And yet, in this fragility, there's life. The noise inside is deafening. Every expectation you failed to meet, every anxiety you ignored, every unspoken thought that piled upon the last demands attention. You feel unsteady, as though there is no solid ground anywhere. The mind scrambles, searching for footing, but there is none to be found. Every heartbeat echoes the tension you have carried too long, a drumbeat of collapse that reverberates in the hollow spaces of your chest. Anger surfaces too, sharp, biting, and bitter. You resent what came before, the life you imagined, the opportunities missed, the things that should have been different. You swing between inward blame and outward resentment, looking for someone, anywhere, to be accountable. But no one can explain this. It is happening inside, though it wears the guise of the world against you. It looks external, as if the universe conspired, but the truth is quieter, subtler. The storm lives in the chambers of your own mind. And yet, even amid the collapse, a small, insistent awareness remains. Why did this happen? What now? Every cell trembles, yet the body keeps moving. Even amid chaos, there is fragile consciousness. You are aware of the grief, the rawness, the impossibility of stopping it. You are listening. You are surviving. And in that suspended, violent moment, something shifts, not relief, not insight, but a quiver, subtle, unclaimed. You feel it when your mind pauses, when panic ebbs for a fleeting second. Something alive, quietly waiting, begins to stir. The fall is not only loss. It is the first opening of something vast, subtle, and waiting. Something you will recognize only when you lean into it. Why do we fall? The question hums. It is patient. It is insistent. And for the first time in a long while, you feel that perhaps the fall is not only something to endure, it is something to meet. The storm of the fall has begun to soften, though its echoes still tremble in your chest. The pounding in your mind has eased, but grief remains, insistent, heavy, almost tangible. You feel it in the quiet spaces between thoughts, in the moments where your mind once raced without pause. The world has not changed, yet something inside you begins to shift imperceptibly, stirred by currents too subtle to name. You may still reach outward, searching for someone or something to blame, circumstances, people, life itself. That instinct is natural, almost unavoidable. It is easier to accuse the world than to face the tremors within. But if you pause even briefly, a subtle sensation becomes apparent. Something is moving beneath the surface, not clarity, not solution, not relief, simply motion. A hidden rhythm, a quiet force that begins to act only once the loud storm of collapse has spent itself. This hidden motion is patient. It moves where your awareness has been asleep. It sweeps through the corners of your mind, touching hesitation you ignored, fears you buried, and tension you refused to see. It does not shout. It does not demand action. It simply exists, waiting for you to notice. And as you notice, your attention begins to settle differently. You feel the ripples of the fall transform into gentle pulses, small signals of an intelligence beneath the chaos. The fall has left cracks in your certainty. In these fractures, microcurrents ripple outward. A glance you did not return, a word left unspoken, a small step you hesitated to take. All of these seemingly trivial moments accumulate, like water wearing down stone, until your inner landscape shifts. The hidden motion thrives here in what you previously dismissed as inconsequential. Life does not act only in the dramatic events. It moves in subtleties, in gestures too small to notice, yet powerful enough to steer you when the storm passes. Your mind may crave certainty. It may want cause and effect diagrams, neat explanations, guarantees. The hidden motion ignores such demands. It flows regardless, gently tugging you toward awareness, toward noticing what you once ignored. In these moments, grief is no longer only a weight. It vibrates with texture, a resonance that whispers of unformed insight waiting to emerge. You begin to sense the subtle shifts in yourself, the pause before a thought, the hesitation that softens into reflection, the quiet alignment between your breath and awareness. These movements are invisible to the outside world, but they are real. They are yours to feel, to inhabit, to explore. The fall was never just a collapse. It was the opening act for awareness, a call to perceive what was always beneath the surface. And so you pause, perhaps only a breath, perhaps a moment longer than usual. Notice your chest rising differently. Feel the stillness that comes after panic. There's no sudden revelation, no magic. Only the quiet motion, insistent yet gentle, carrying you forward. The question remains, why do we fall? Not for punishment, not for chaos, not for defeat. Beneath every fall is a subtle rhythm, a hidden force, waiting for your attention. It does not shout. It does not coerce. It merely exists, reminding you that even amid grief and collapse, there is a current guiding you toward awareness, toward the first glimmers of what you are ready to receive. As you allow yourself to feel this motion, the first whispers of what the fall has left behind begin to emerge. And now, gradually, almost imperceptibly, the space opens. Not like a sudden revelation that shouts, but as a quiet room carved within yourself by everything you endured. The fall, the grief, the chaos, they were not empty. They left behind something subtle, persistent, waiting for you to notice. It begins with letting go, not of people, not of circumstances, not of life itself, but of the desperate need to control, to understand, to resist. Letting go is not weakness. It is a strength woven quietly into the act of surrender. You may notice it first in a breath that feels less sharp, a thought you no longer clutch tightly, a tension in your chest that softens because you stop pushing against it. These small moments are the tender openings where grace begins. With letting go comes clarity, not the clarity of answers, but the clarity of presence. Your awareness settles differently. Grief is still present, yet it hums with texture rather than pressing like a weight. Tension pulses in rhythm with life rather than against it. There is a quiet alignment, a subtle intelligence beneath the collapse that was always present, now felt, now accessible. Gifts begin to appear, some small, some profound. Perhaps it is the ease in a thought once resisted. Perhaps it is the fleeting sense that not everything needs to be fought or endured. Perhaps it is the recognition that you can hold more without breaking, that you are stronger, not because the storm avoided you, but because you endured it and allowed yourself to feel it fully. The act of letting go transforms perception. What once seemed unbearable now teaches, revealing the contours of your own heart, the spaces that needed room, the layers of self you never noticed before. The fall was never punishment, it was invitation. Invitation to lean into what is, to allow life's currents to carry you rather than flail against them. You may still falter, you may still feel grief, tension, and fear. But now, within those feelings is something new, a rhythm, a pulse, a quiet awareness you can follow. Each tremble, each ache, each moment of disorientation has left behind a trace, an architecture of insight, subtle and persistent, that can be felt, explored, and inhabited. And the question you once asked, why did this happen, shifts. It no longer demands a culprit or a reason. It becomes soft, patient, reflective. It asks only for attention, for recognition. You understand that the fall, with all its chaos and grief, was not meaningless. It has been formative, showing the ways you cling, the ways you resist, the ways you hold too tightly to control. And in the spaces left by that relinquishing, life whispers. It teaches, guides, and invites without demand. You feel it now in quiet moments, a pause carrying weight, a subtle alignment, a gentle awareness that you are not merely broken. The gifts of falling, subtle yet persistent, are yours to meet without force, without expectation, without haste. There the grace in letting go. And here softly, the call to attention shifts outward. Notice the quiet moments around you. Explore more reflections, whispers, and meditations on this channel. Each is designed to guide you gently back to the rhythm of life, always present, always moving, always patient. Pause, breathe, notice. The gifts are here. The grace is here. And the fall, though it came loud and painful, was never meant to break you. It was meant to teach you how to rise. And when you meet these gifts, when letting go becomes familiar, the movement of rising begins. The storm has softened, not completely, not all at once, but enough that you can notice the space around you, the rhythm beneath the grief, the pulse beneath the tension. You are no longer solely defined by collapse or by the weight of what has been lost. The fall has left its mark, yes, but it has also left you intact, shaped by experience, tempered by endurance, and guided by the quiet lessons it has brought. Rising is not abrupt. It is not a sudden triumph. It is a gentle unfolding, a gradual realignment of self with life as it is. You feel your awareness settle differently. Your heart opens just enough to recognize the currents that have always carried you, even when you could not see them. The grief remains, yet it now has depth. It is a measure of the care, attention, and love you hold within yourself. There is a grace in this rise. It does not erase the past. It does not promise that storms will never return, but it allows you to inhabit yourself fully, to move through life with a steady pulse, even when uncertainty lingers. The fall, the grief, the release, they were never meant to break you. They were invitations to notice, to let go, to awaken to the movement beneath the surface, to feel life's currents without grasping or resisting. In this rising, you begin to see the subtle gifts that have accumulated along the way, the strength born from enduring, the clarity born from release, the tenderness born from noticing. These are not milestones to celebrate or trophies to display. They are currents carrying you forward, shaping your perception of what is possible at each moment. You notice small alignments, a thought that no longer spirals, a breath that feels steadier, a moment of presence where panic once reigned. These are quiet victories, subtle and persistent, and in them, the full scope of the fall's purpose becomes visible, not in dramatic flashes, but in the gentle architecture of awareness that now guides your steps. You may still falter, you may still feel grief, tension, and fear, yet the fall no longer dictates your movement. You rise, not because the storm has disappeared, but because you have learned how to yourself amid it. You carry forward the lessons, the gifts, the quiet understanding that life is a rhythm of falling and rising, surrender and attention, grief and grace. And so, the question that once haunted you, why do we fall, transforms. It no longer presses with blame or fear. It softens, inviting reflection. How will you carry forward what this fall has left behind? The answer is not in words. It is in presence, in attention, in the willingness to move through life without grasping, without resisting, with openness to what unfolds. If this journey has touched you, allow yourself to explore more whispers of presence, reflection, and guidance on this channel. Each video, each meditation is designed to help you reconnect with the subtle currents of life, to notice the gifts hidden in ordinary moments, and to meet yourself with gentleness, patience, and awareness. Pause, breathe, return whenever you need a quiet reminder you are not alone, and the currents that carry you are always present, patiently guiding you forward. The rise is not an arrival. It is a subtle, unbroken movement of awareness, grace, and quiet freedom that comes from letting go. And with each step, you feel it clearly. The fall was never the end. It was the beginning of everything that could quietly, patiently, and fully unfold inside you, around you, and through you.